Hey everyone, it's Jenny and welcome back to my channel. The story ain't over. So today, as you can tell, I am about to have some brunch. So this video is being kindly sponsored by Disney Book Group, and they asked me to sit down and have a little bit of a brunch and discuss some of my favorite Rick Riordan and Rick Riordan Presents books. So I'll talk about the ones that I've read and the ones that I'm hoping to read very soon, all while eating some Blue Foods, which, as you guys know, if you have read the Percy Jackson series, Percy's mother has this whole thing where, just to cheer him up and for his birthday and special occasions, she'll make Blue Foods for him because that's his favorite color and it just really brightens his day. And I had so much fun making these Blue Foods. I made a little yogurt bowl and I blue dyed the yogurt, and then I have blueberries and some oats, and then I also made blue pancakes with some more blueberries, and then I also made some scrambled eggs that are also blue but they kind of look greenish. I meant to make an omelet, but I'm a terrible cook, so they ended up scrambled, and here we are. So we're gonna eat, and I hope you guys, while you're watching this, can like grab a snack so you're not just watching me eat, but I guess this can be sort of a like mukbang thing. So yeah, we'll see how this goes. Let's see how all this actually tastes. Okay, the eggs are okay. They're not the best. I'm not a very good cook. I also haven't like eaten all day. So I'm like really hungry. So this should be good. I should also have my yogurt probably before it gets really warm in my room. The blueberries are so good. Okay, so as I said, I'm going to be talking about some Rick Riordan books and some Rick Riordan Presents books, but for those of you who are like new to Rick Riordan and Rick Riordan Presents and don't know either, Rick Riordan is the author of the Percy Jackson and the Olympians series, but also multiple other series that involve some sort of like mythology and, you know, kids being super heroic, but also just trying to get through like middle school or like high school, and it's just a really great time. And so after his like really amazing success with the Percy Jackson series and the Heroes of Olympus series, the Kane Chronicles, the Trials of Apollo series, he ended up creating this imprint called Rick Riordan Presents, where marginalized authors could tell their stories with, you know, their cultural backgrounds and sort of tell similar stories of kids like who don't feel like they fit in, you know, doing heroic things and just trying to do their best. And so there have been a lot of books that have come out since the imprint started, with Arsha and the End of Time by Roshani Chokshi, which is probably my favorite Rick Riordan Presents series and book. So I've read the first book in the Arsha series, Arsha and the End of Time, and I've also read the second one, Arsha and the Song of Death. I actually read this recently and it was just such a great time. And these books are based on Hindu mythology, so it involves our main character Arsha, who finds out that she is the reincarnation of Arjuna from the Mahabharata, so the like big Hindu epic, and it involves her sort of having to save the world from this great evil that she's accidentally awoken. And along the way she will meet some other kids who are also incarnations of great heroes, and they also happen to be sort of her sisters, and so it's sort of this like Sailor Moon situation, which I absolutely loved. I love every single one of the characters in this series, and if you want to know my in-depth thoughts about Arsha and the Song of Death, I actually just put up a wrap-up where I talked about my thoughts about this. Oh my god, okay, I keep talking and not eating, so let's talk about Percy Jackson now, because that's where it sort of all started, way back when it came out. And I think I actually started reading the Percy Jackson series after like the first two or three books had already come out. I remember they were already in the paperback editions when I had read them, hence why I have all these paperbacks. I was borrowing them from the library, and I remember I totally related to Percy as a character because I felt like he was always like the odd one out, and he always felt like he was creating trouble when he didn't really mean to, and I felt like I was always doing that when I was a kid. Like I didn't mean to be getting in trouble, but I always was. But basically, if you don't know Percy Jackson, and if you don't, like, where have you been? But basically, it follows our main character, Percy, who is this kid in, like, middle school, and all his life his father has been sort of, like, out of the picture. It's just been him and his mom, and then his stepfather, Gabe, who he really hates. One day, things sort of go awry when the mythological world starts to infringe on his. And he's sort of always struggled in school. He's dyslexic and has ADHD, and he always finds himself in like really weird and strange situations. And that is also true for the first book, where he sort of gets attacked by one of his teachers who ends up being a monster from Greek mythology, and things sort of spiral from there, where his mother also gets kidnapped by like this monster, and he ends up discovering that he is something called a demigod or a half-blood, where his father is actually a god. And I won't spoil, I guess, which god, because it's something you find out in like the middle of the first book, but he finds out that he is like part god, Greek god, and the reason for his dyslexia and ADHD is because his like brain is used to reading like ancient Greek, and the ADHD is from all of like his battle prowess and like the quick reflexes. And it's this really cool situation of like, you know, a kid just getting to feel special and important, and he ends up getting to be a hero. And so he joins this camp called Camp Half-Blood and meets other kids that are struggling with the same sort of things as him and who are sons and daughters of other Greek gods. And they sort of form this found family, and he has some really awesome friends, and there's like a wonderful slow burn romance that evolves over the series, and it's just a wonderful time. It's like, to this day, one of my favorite series, and I think of it so fondly. And I've actually reread the original series like so many times now, and I just get so excited, you know, reading about the characters. And I think I've gone back to the last two books the most because there's just so many wonderful scenes, and there's like some cool battles as well. And I also have to mention that Rick Riordan and also all of the Rick Riordan Presents books are absolutely hilarious if you are a kid in middle school reading them, or if you are a like young adult like me, you are still gonna enjoy them because they're so funny and just so exciting. They're the perfect things to sort of pick up during the summertime, and I think that they're just like the perfect thing to pick up when you are looking for some, you know, fun laughs and just some heroic journeys. Okay, I'm trying to eat more. Okay, and then let's talk about the Heroes of Olympus series. These are the first two books. Basically, these are really cool because they continue off of the original Percy Jackson series, and they follow some of the characters from the Percy Jackson series, but also add in some other characters. And where in the original series we only have sort of Greek mythology, this one sort of incorporates the Roman side of things. And so the Roman sides of the gods and sort of that history as well. And so it's really, really interesting. And it's also just really cool just seeing like these characters get to go through like another sort of heroic journey along with a lot of other characters as well. And then after the Heroes of Olympus series, if you're looking for more Percy Jackson content, he makes brief appearances in the Trials of Apollo series, which starts with the Hidden Oracle. And I've only read the first one of this series, but I absolutely loved it. It's hilarious because it follows the god Apollo, who sort of has like a similar form in both the Greek and Roman versions of the god, but he is sort of like punished by Zeus for some things that happened in the previous series. And so he's sent to Earth as a like human teenager, and so he's forced to live in this like human teenager body and go on this quest to restore his honor and get back to Mount Olympus. So it was just this really interesting situation of a god being a teenager, but it was also super, super funny. Like, I think the jokes in this one were just fantastic because Apollo is just like so chaotic as a character, and I loved it. Also, can you guys tell I like wore blue as well for this video? I tried, guys, I tried. Now, let's talk about the Rick Riordan Presents books because I'm so excited about all these because there's so many great ones. So the first one I want to talk about is The Last Fallen Star by Gracie Kim, which actually just came out, I think, like only a few weeks before I'm filming this, which is really exciting. But this involves Korean mythology, and it follows our main character, Riley Oh, who comes from this lineage of Korean healing witches. And so there are like different sort of clans in like this sort of situation where each clan has like different powers. And so she's from the Gom clan, which is a healing clan. She also has an older sister named Hattie who's about to get initiated into the clan and like receive her powers and that kind of thing, and like, you know, be able to do magic herself on her own without supervision. But the thing about Riley is that she's actually adopted, and so she is not part of this lineage, and she doesn't actually have the same powers as her family does, but she's sort of grown up around this magical situation and known all of this stuff, but the clans are a bit closed-minded and they don't really want to let her in. And so when Riley and Hattie, who are very like cute sisters who really support each other, but when the two of them stumble upon this old spell in the family spell book that will will allow Hattie to transfer some of her powers to Riley. They get really excited and decide to try it out. But the spell is obviously super forbidden, and so when they actually do it, some bad things happen, and Hattie's life sort of hangs in the balance. And so Riley, after all of this, is forced to find a way to save her sister, and that involves finding the last fallen star. And she doesn't know what this is and how she's gonna do it, but she is trying to find it to save her sister. I think this book is just so wonderful. Like, I love the entire concept, and I've actually started reading it, and so far I am loving it. I just love the way that the different clans have different powers. Really excited to read more of this. I'm already loving, like, Riley as a character. She's so sweet. So yeah, really excited for this. Not gonna lie, guys, I've been like only eating the yogurt fruit bowl thing this whole time, so I feel like I should eat the other stuff too. Should I try the pancakes? Maybe I will. I really doubt my skills, but I also trusted Aunt Jemima with her mix. So hopefully they're not bad. Let me just pour some syrup here. Are you guys the type who like a lot of syrup or only a little? Do you even like pancakes? Are you more of a pancake or waffle person? I would love to know. I feel like I never have situations like this where I'm like eating on camera, so I find this slightly interesting and also very difficult to do because I'm very bad at talking and doing other things at the same time. Ooh, they're so blue. I love it. This actually makes me really happy, all of these blue things, because I don't know, like, it's been so long since I've read, like, the series, the original Percy Jackson series, and this is just, like, taking me back to elementary school, and I love it. I also want to say that I recently gave my, like, 10-year-old cousin Arsha in The End of Time, and she is absolutely loving it. She's like reading it right now, and it's giving me life that she has like this representation for her. So yeah, very exciting, because I never had this when I was a kid, so it makes me really happy that the kids who are going to be reading all of these like Rick Riordan Presents books are going to see themselves in these books, and they're going to feel like, you know, they're represented, and they're going to feel like they can be heroes too, which is just the most important part of this, and which is why I absolutely love this whole initiative and like this whole idea of Rick Riordan Presents. And I just like love that Rick decided to do this. Like, it's just so awesome. So yeah, very thankful for this, and very thankful to Disney Book Group for allowing me to like talk about this over some blue foods and, you know, just tell you guys about some books that I really, really love. All right, next let's talk about another book that I really want to pick up soon, and I actually like read a chapter last night and absolutely loved it, and that was Tristan Strong Punches a Hole in the Sky, which I already love the title of this like book, and I also really, really love the cover. I don't know if you guys can see that or if it will focus, but this book basically follows our main character Tristan Strong, whose family comes from like this long line of boxers, and so his grandfather and his father have always been like sort of boxing champions. And at the beginning of the book, Tristan has actually just lost a boxing championship or something like that, competition, and he's feeling very like dejected. And on top of this, recently one of his close friends has died in a bus accident. And so Tristan is in 7th grade. It's now the summer break. He's reeling from this loss and going through a lot of grief, but he's also feeling disappointed in himself for not winning the boxing competition. And he's also getting a lot of pressure from his grandfather, who is sort of disappointed in him, but his parents decide to let him go off with his grandparents to their farm and just sort of do some manual labor and do some healing while he's gone. And the farm is in Alabama, and Tristan actually takes a journal that his friend who died had sort of left behind for him, and it's full of these stories that his friend had been writing for this class that Tristan was also like taking part in and was going to present for that class as well. And so his therapist recommends that he finish the stories in the journal to sort of get some closure. But on his first night at the farm in Alabama, something strange happens, and this creature attacks Tristan in the middle of the night and is trying to take the journal. And so Tristan, in his attempt to get the journal back and like fight this monster off, accidentally punches a hole into the sky. It's a situation where he's sort of finding out that he has some sort of magical powers, I believe, and what he later finds out is that with the hole that he punched in the sky, it's opened up our world to some very magical and strange things. And so this book actually involves black American gods like John Henry and Brer Rabbit, and also Anansi, I believe. And so Tristan is sort of forced to help John Henry and Brer Rabbit to convince the god Anansi, the weaver, to seal the hole in the sky and stop, you know, the two worlds sort of infringing on each other. And it just seems super, super cool. And honestly, I don't think I've read anything with Black American gods before, so I'm very, very excited to pick this up. And I know this is going to be a book that's so important to so many people. This one also won the Coretta Scott King Award, which is an amazing honor. So yeah, I'm just really, really excited for this one. I just like reading the first couple chapters, I was like totally hooked in, and I just felt for Tristan as a character. And I do think among the Rick Riordan Presents books, this one has the most similar voice to Percy Jackson in that it feels like Tristan's just talking to us like we're another kid, and he's just, you know, talking about his life, the things that he's feeling in a very candid way, and I really, really love that. All right, we're on to the last couple books that I want to talk about. All right, the next book that I want to talk about is Race to the Sun by Rebecca Roanhorse, and I've heard amazing things about Rebecca Roanhorse, including some of her adult books that are fantastic. And so this is Rebecca Roanhorse's middle grade book for the Rick Riordan Presents imprint, and this follows Njoni Begay, who is this 7th grader who can detect monsters. And so there's this mysterious man who has been showing up around her school, and it turns out his name is Mr. Charles, and he is her father's new boss. And she thinks that there's something fishy going on because the man seems super interested in Njoni and her brother Mac and the legend of the hero twins. And so Njoni is actually a native. Her family has Navajo heritage, and she goes to a native school as well. And things go completely wrong, just as Njoni thought they would, when her father disappears. And so she, her brother Mac, and her friend Davery are forced to go on this sort of rescue mission to find her father and enlist the help of the Diné Holy People. But in order to get the help of the Diné Holy People, they must go through a series of trials to be deemed worthy. And if they go through these trials and reach the House of the Sun, they will be outfitted with the tools and weapons needed to take on Mr. Charles and save her father. This seems like such a fun book, and I already love the friendship between Njoni and Davery. At the beginning of the book, I have started this one, and it just seems like it's going to be so action-packed with these different trials and things going on, and I am really excited to read about a native main character because I feel like that is definitely something that we don't get enough of, and I'm just so excited for the amount of kids who are going to see themselves in this book. Alright, and the last and final book that I want to talk about from the Rick Riordan Presents imprint is Dragon Pearl by Yoon Ha Lee. So when I heard about this one, I was super, super excited because it not only involves Korean mythology, but it also combines a sci-fi world element. This is set in like some sort of far future sci-fi version world, and it involves like multiple planets that, you know, humanity has inhabited. And our main character is 13-year-old Min, who lives on the planet Jinju, and she has wanted nothing more than to like escape her planet and like the scarce resources and sort of the living arrangement that she's in, which involves, you know, being around a lot of her mean and annoying aunts. And she just feels like hemmed in by all of the household rules and all the chores, and she just wants to be a little bit free to do whatever she wants. But there's also this element of sort of mythology and magic going on because Min and her family are what they would call foxes, or, you know, people with fox powers, and it's based off of the Gumiho from Korean mythology. So they have the ability to like shapeshift and sort of deceive people if they wanted to, and so people have a very like negative opinion and outlook towards foxes, and so Min and her family are always sort of hiding that aspect of their identity. And then there's also this aspect of Min's older brother who has recently gone off to join the Space Forces. Things start to like go awry when a officer from the Space Forces comes to their home and tells them that her brother has sort of deserted the Space Forces in search of this mysterious thing called the Dragon Pearl. And it is known to be this like mystical object that grants tremendous power, but no one really knows where it is or what happened to it. And so Min's brother is sort of getting framed in this situation and is being branded a deserter, which is exactly not what she wants. And so she decides to run away, find her brother, and clear his name. And Min will find herself meeting gamblers, pirates, and vengeful ghosts along the way, and it just seems like a really fun and interesting story. I just love that this one not only involves mythology, but also like takes place in a totally different environment, and so in that way it's slightly different from the rest of the books in the imprint, which I thought was really, really exciting. Alright, but those are all of the books that I sort of wanted to talk about today, both the like original Rick Riordan books, but also all of the amazing books coming out out from his imprint, Rick Riordan Presents. I am so incredibly happy and excited by this imprint and grateful for everything that it does for not only marginalized voices, but also for the kids who are finally going to be able to see themselves in these books. I had a great time eating my blue foods and making my blue foods and just chatting about these books today. So thank you so much for watching. Definitely go check out all of these fantastic books. If you haven't read Percy Jackson yet, what are you doing? And definitely go check out the Rick Riordan Presents books, because I know you will definitely find a book that either represents you or has characters you're really going to relate and connect to, or are just going to have some really fun heroic journeys for some kids that are just trying their best. So yeah, it's definitely a great time and I highly, highly recommend them. Thank you so much for watching. Go check out my Instagram and Twitter and Goodreads in the description down below, and let me know if you guys would like me to do something similar to this again, like, you know, eating food and talking about books. I might want to try it out again. And definitely let me know down in the comments below what your favorite, like, Rick Riordan book is, either if it's one of the series, or if you have a favorite among the Rick Riordan Presents books, or if there's a particular book in this video that I mentioned that you're really, really excited to pick up soon. I would love to hear all of your thoughts. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in my next video, and please remember that this story ain't over. Bye!